here today to honor a prominent Ukrainian artist and poet, Taras Fyodorovich Shevchenko, and show our solidarity with Ukrainian people. And thank Americans for coming, for supporting us. We really appreciate it as a nation.
And I see you have some ribbons.
I'm sorry?
You have ribbons?
Yeah, we do have ribbons. We give them to everybody, and also we have little flags. Sophia?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're just grateful that people come here to join us, to show their support.
And we're all here to support Ukraine as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And shootings and missiles and drones. How long can we fight? Struck through the bombs. Now fight for Ukraine. Now fight for you and me.
Yeah, we're with the Socialist Workers' Party. We back the fight of the Ukrainian people against the invasion by Moscow. We think Moscow should get all its troops out. That would end the war. And we think what we've seen in recent days is just a sign the U.S. government, whether Trump or Biden, they don't care about working people in Ukraine. They just care about the interests of the big capitalists. We think working people around the world should defend the people of Ukraine.
Let's see the message here on your sign.
Sure. We think one of the biggest potential allies of the people of Ukraine are the working people in Russia who are also under Putin's boot. And they're being used as cannon fodder. And more people in Russia are realizing that. And that can have a huge impact as well.
Great. Okay. So this is the paper that's issued every week? Or?
Every week. It's
okay.
a newspaper promoted by the Socialist Workers' Party. We take it everywhere, big cities, little towns, picket lines, protests, factory gates, because we think that working people, we're the ones that create the wealth. We need to back each other's fights all over the world. We need solidarity.
Okay.
Here in New York City, we come here to support Ukraine and their defense against Russia. It was organized by Svitanak New York City. It's an organization who supports Ukraine from the very beginning of the war. And we ask for a fair peace deal for Ukraine. We ask for continuation of sanctions on Russia. We ask for additional weaponry for Ukraine because now Russia is bombing Ukraine very heavily since United States stopped all the supplies to Russia. And now in Ukrainian. Дякую американському народу за допомогу. Ми тут завдяки організації «Світанок» Нью-Йорк Сіті. Ця організація допомагає українцям від самого початку вторгнення. Ми проти російського вторгнення. Ми дякуємо американському народу за підтримку, але ми б хотіли, щоб ця підтримка продовжувалась незалежно від змін політичних в цій країні. Ми дякуємо, але у той же час ми б хотіли, щоб Америка не зближалась з Росією, не починала товаришувати з Росією, бо агресор має бути покараний, полонені мають бути звільнені, Україна має досягнути справедливого миру, люди не мають помирати, і всі, хто в цьому винен, мають понести покарання. Дякую. Thank you. Thank you.
Republican senators do the right thing. We need to stand with Ukraine. Slava Ukraine!
Героям слава!
Long live freedom in the U.S. and Ukraine.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming. There's a reason why we chose this day today. 211 years ago, Ukraine's most famous, our favorite poet, Taras Grigorievich Shevchenko was born. He was born and he was sold into slavery, and the purpose of his life was fighting for justice, fighting for liberty, fighting for values, and he believed that Ukraine will be independent and free. Justice for Ukraine! Silence is a crime! Silence is
по тротуару. Тому нам треба буде трошки розтягнутись. Будь ласка, будьте обачливі до трафіку, до машин. І рівняйтесь на мене, коли я йтиму попереду. So our march will be on the sidewalk. Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Ukraine fights for freedom!
Ukraine fights for freedom!
Ukraine fights for justice!
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 Ukraine fights for future!
Ukraine fights for future!
Ukraine fights for future!
Ukraine fights for future!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
So we're going to have a march here today to support Ukraine, and also because it's 9th of March, it is the day of the birth of a very famous Ukrainian poet, Taras Shevchenko, and the march is also going to be part of the dedication to him and to his input into the fight for Ukraine's freedom and Ukrainian identity. It's going to start at 2 p.m. and we're going to start the march from here.